All right, good morning, guys. I got a quick video for you, and it's going to blow your mind, so you don't want to miss this. Yesterday's part of the documentary, we read from the 68th Convocation of the Rose Cross Order, and in this document, we read a prophecy from Merlin, the wizard, from the time of Arthur's court. So we're going to read this prophecy and then talk about the exoteric meaning that's provided by the Convocation of the Rose Cross Order. So I'm going to read it without parentheses first. When the cock shall woo the dove, mother and child shall cease to love. When the cock shall guard the eagle's nest, the stars shall rise all in the west. Then 7 and 6 shall make but one, the lion's might shall be undone. And now we're going to read it with the parentheses, what they were talking about. When the cock, or France, shall woo the dove, America, mother and child shall cease to love, the rebellion of the colonies. When the cock, France, shall guard the eagle's nest, France's aid, the stars, or the 13 colonies, shall rise all in the west. Then 7 and 6 shall make but one, e pluribus unum, the lion's might shall be undone. So this prophecy of Merlin is basically saying, let's just put it in layman terms, when France sides with America, and this is actually what happened, both America and France had a revolution, a Freemasonic Illuminati revolution at the same time. So when France woos America, the mother and child shall cease to love, and this is the rebellion of the 13 colonies. When the cock, or France, shall guard the eagle's nest, and here it says France's aid, the stars, or the 13 colonies, the constellation of 13 on the seal of the United States, shall rise all in the west. Then 7 and 6 shall make but one, e pluribus unum, the lion's might shall be undone. Now that last line is alluding to 13 colonies. But I was thinking this morning, I was like, I can't find anything in history about the colonies dividing into 6 and 7. You know, of course, the Civil War, we have the sectionalism where two countries formed, but I can't find really anything about 6 of the colonies agreeing on something and 7 disagreeing. So that kind of stuck out to me. I was like, maybe this isn't the real meaning of the prophecy. Maybe this is the exoteric published meaning, but there's really a deeper meaning. Well, it hit me this morning, guys, and this is going to blow your mind. So part of what we talked about yesterday was the synagogue of Satan, and I'm going to read out of the book of Revelation for you. This symbol that since the 1940s has been associated with Semitism, Jewish people, that's not what it is, and that's not what it's ever been, okay? That's what they trick us. They want us to believe today that Christians should align themselves with the political state of Israel, and this is all a lie. So what we're going to talk about, let's start with the book of Revelation, and I have a Catholic version right here. Okay, Revelation, the message to Smyrna. So, of course, we have the 7 churches, right? Here's the message. This is the message from the one who is the first and the last, who died and lived again. I know your troubles. I know that you are poor, but really you are rich. I know the evil things said against you by those who claim to be Jews but are not. They are a group that belongs to Satan. Don't be afraid of anything you are about to suffer. Listen, the devil will put you to the test by having some of you thrown into prison, and your troubles will last 10 days. Be faithful to me, even if it means death, and I will give you your life as a prize of victory. And this is repeated over and over. I'm going to read it again from the message to Philadelphia. And now you understand why Philadelphia was named Philadelphia and why it's the home of Masonry in America. Straight from the book of Revelations. Listen, as for that group that belongs to Satan, those liars who claim they are Jews but are not, I will make them come and bow down at your feet. What is Jesus referring to? Well, what's the book of Revelation referring to? He's referring to this. The synagogue of Satan. This is completely biblical. Israel is lying, okay? And it says right here in the 68th Convocation, though that 6-pointed star, this is what those 6 points actually represent. Today in America, we have the restoration of this knowledge. In these 6 orders, here are the 6 points of the Star of David, so they call it. The Order of the Illuminati, the Order of the Rose Cross, the Ancient Order of the Alchemist, Fraternity of Osiris, the Magi, and the 8th Priesthood. Like I said yesterday, Freemasonry falls under one of those, not quite sure. So what the Rose Cross Order is telling us is that this symbol right here represents not Jews. It represents 6 schools of basically alchemical magic thought, wisdom, right? Completely devoid of religion. This is talking about Luciferianism. It's talking about 6 schools of wisdom, and all of them are basically part of Mystery Babylon. That's what this symbol represents. It represents the religion of Mystery Babylon. And when we reread this prophecy with the information I'm about to show you, no question, right? And obviously that's why there's a devil right here. So, over at congress.gov, there was a bill passed during the 102nd Congress, 1991 to 1992. We're going to read it. And it's one of those bills that no one paid attention to because it was making March 26th, 1991, Education Day in the U.S. And they're going to mention Noahide laws, and then we're going to talk about Noahide law, and then we're going to reread that prophecy and change the meaning of some of it, and it's going to blow your mind. So, 102nd Congress of the United States of America at the first session, begun and held at the city of Washington on Thursday, the 3rd of January, 1991, joint resolution to designate March 26, 1991 as Education Day in the USA. And just so you know, this is law. So it was introduced, passed by the House, Senate, and the President. This is official law. Whereas Congress recognizes the historical tradition of ethical values and principles which are the basis of civilized society and upon which our great nation was founded. Whereas these ethical values and principles have been the bedrock of society from the dawn of civilization, when they were known as the 7 Noahide laws. Whereas these ethical values and principles, the edifice of civilization stands in serious peril of returning to chaos. What are the Noahide laws? Well, basically, they want you to think that this is Jewish. They want you to think this is from the Old Testament, but this is Babylonian Talmud Zionism. This has nothing to do with Jews. It has nothing to do with the Old Testament. These 7 Noahide laws they're talking about belong to this religion, belong to this synagogue of Satan, to this Mystery Babylon religion that has been, ushered in under our noses for quite some time. That's what the Noahide laws are. Let's go ahead and read them. And there's a lot more research we can do on this. Anthony Patch is, very well educated on this. Go look up some of his stuff. Okay, let's see. DuckDuckGo is better. Hold on. And the Noahide laws themselves are a perversion of biblical scripture. So basically the idea is that at the end of America, the Judeo-Christian basis of our country, which is the 10 Commandments, along with other things, will be thrown out the window, and the world would be ushered in to a time that's controlled by the synagogue of Satan, and instead of the 10 Commandments, they will have the 7 Noahide laws. These are the 7 Noahide laws. Do not worship idols. Do not curse God. Do not establish courts of justice. Do not commit murder. Do not commit adultery or sexual immorality. Do not steal. And do not eat flesh torn from a living animal. Sounds pretty normal, right? But you got to understand that when this comes into play, the Christians are the target. So Jesus will be considered an idol, right? Cursing, and if man is God, if these Luciferians get power, this Mystery Babylon religion, cursing man, a man in power, will be equivalent to cursing God. We will not be allowed to establish courts of justice. Of course, we won't be allowed to commit murder or adultery or steal or eat flesh torn from a living animal. Now you understand why Hitler was a vegan. Now you understand why veganism is so important, right? And why the mystery religions all are plant-based and sun-based. Sun-kissed foods, as they call it. So, to sum this up before we read the prophecy, at some point, if this synagogue of Satan represents the real synagogue of Satan from the end times, right? All these orders that we're dealing with today, if this is really going to happen, then what we're going to see is the downfall of the Constitution, the downfall of America. And here is the kicker. When this is implemented across the world, every Masonic lodge and every Masonic temple will become the infrastructure of this global government. And every part of America, every little town in New England, every part of the country has a Masonic lodge laying in wait for this to happen. It is from the lodge, it is from the temple that Mystery Babylon will induce us into this beast system where it's based on the 7 Noahide laws. That's the idea behind this. Now, let's go back to the prophecy of Merlin. So, like I was saying, I couldn't find anything about 7 colonies and 6 colonies, vice versa, nothing like that. Instead of the 7 and 6 being colonies, how about the 7 is the 7 Noahide laws, and the 6 is the 6 pointed star, the seal of Satan. Boom. That is what Merlin's prophecy is actually about. So let's reread it with that information. When the cock shall woo the dove, mother and child shall cease to love. When the cock shall guard the eagle's nest, the stars shall rise all in the west. Then 7 and 6 shall make but one, the lion's might shall be undone. And instead of the lion being England, the lion is Christianity, the tribe of Judah, right? And what this prophecy, I think, really is alluding to is the 13th tribe, Mystery Babylon, reinstituting global power, destroying Christianity, and combining the 6 points of the star with the 7 Noahide laws to make 13 stars, those 13 stars representing the New World Order, the 13 tribes of Israel, the tribe of Joseph, like we read in this yesterday. If you haven't watched yesterday's episode, you got to watch yesterday's episode. So yes, I think the exoteric meaning of this prophecy was the creation of America, but I think the esoteric meaning of this prophecy is a downfall of Christianity and the coming time when the 6 schools of the synagogue of Satan will introduce Noahide law across the world, and there is where you get your 13. That is where your 7 and 6 come in. Once again, the lion's not England, the lion is Christianity. How crazy is that? This is a very old prophecy, you guys. Very old prophecy. And once again, the 6 schools of the synagogue of Satan, headquartered in Israel, and the 7 Noahide laws that are already written into the U.S. law and are going to be instituted across the world using the Masonic infrastructure that's already in place. Because, of course, Masonry is part of the synagogue of Satan. Now you know. We'll read this one last time. When the cock shall woo the dove, mother and child shall cease to love. When the cock shall guard the eagle's nest, the stars shall rise all in the west. Then 7 and 6 shall make but one, e pluribus unum, the lion's might shall be undone. 6, 7, no more Christianity. I think that's the true meaning of this prophecy. So glad you guys, hopefully you found that as interesting as me. And of course, we're going to talk about Noahide law, maybe at the end of the documentary when we get to the modern time. I'll see you guys in the next rendition of this, and have a great day.